Yo, what's up everyone? Kyrios here, and sorry, I apologize ahead of time. I am currently out of town. We're recording this video from live in my hotel room, so I hope you enjoy that. But we just had a really big announcement for Tower of Fantasy, and I think it's a little bit worth talking about considering kind of the stale state that Tower of Fantasy is in. And not to say that it's in a bad spot, it's just in a spot where it's kind of slowing down a bit, which is okay. So let's go ahead and talk about what just got announced. Now, earlier this week, Tower of Fantasy was actually showcased in the new PlayStation exclusive. And what that turned out to be is that Tower of Fantasy is coming to PlayStation. Now, it is coming to PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 sometime in summer of 2023. We don't have an exact drop date, but I'm hoping it's maybe somewhere in July, which would explain why they've been focusing a lot of their development efforts into probably making the PlayStation experience work. Now, they had a very nice presentation that unfortunately I can't do a reaction for because I have no camera with me, but you're probably seeing some of the presentation on screen. I'll have a link to it down below. It was actually a little awkward. Essentially, they took a bunch of cutscenes from different areas of the game and kind of spliced them together, and the audio was all over the place to the point that it didn't really make sense. But there was some new cutscenes in there, and it was kind of cool. I just don't know if it was the best showcasing of the game, and I think they should have showed off a little bit more of Vera and maybe the new area, the new sea area, and even maybe showing off a little bit of 3.0 without, obviously the Chinese voice acting, to kind of get people engaged. I don't know how much of a spare that people really cared about, but it is what it is. So this is a great thing. It's coming to PlayStation, but typically here's some of the issues that I have and some of the pros that I have here. One, typically when you come to a new platform in a game, it doesn't really increase your revenue unless you're really changing the way that that game operates. And I don't think they're really adding anything new except for maybe fixing all the controller issues, which I hope that they land that. Like, if they mess up the controller issues as they're coming into PlayStation exclusive, it's just going to be a very bad experience for a lot of people. Two, the other issue that I have is that typically we've seen other gacha games come into the space and do the same thing and launch on the console. How do I want to say this? In some of the other games that are out there on PlayStation, G game, when they launched on PlayStation or console, they were exclusive to that console for roughly like 6 months to a year. I don't know the exact date, but you weren't able to do cross progression very easily from what I understand. Correct me in the comments down below if that's not the case, but I think I recall that being the case. So I'm hoping that this is cross-platform. I'm hoping that it is, you can use your previous account if you've been a mobile player or if you've been a PC player, and you can play at the luxury of playing on a PlayStation, which, maybe your mobile device can't hold 21 gigs anymore, or maybe your tablet or your whatever device you're on, your PC, maybe doesn't have the space for the game and your PlayStation does. So this is a really good thing. My other big concern is that I have a feeling that they may put all PlayStation users on their own server. It'd be really interesting to see if they should really do another server merge together before they launch for PlayStation, because if they're going to launch all these characters in with cross-play, cross-save, all that goodness, you need to be on a server that's actually highly dense and populated. And the main issue is progression in the game. And Tower of Fantasy is not in the best place for new players. Yeah, there's a lot to do, there's a lot to explore, there's a lot of chests to open, there's a lot of gameplay loops, but we're also at the point in the game that a lot of the day one players, or mainly the players that are still playing in this game, are CS score 100,000, 110,000, 120,000, and we're able to do Void Abyss, OOW, raids with ease and breeze through it and stuff like that. And there's not a lot of us signing up for just general multiplayer stuff. We get on, we do our dailies, we maybe do a little bit of the new content, do a little bit of fishing here for some research, maybe. And that's all we do, we dip out. And that's a really bad experience for new players that need as much help as possible. So I'm a little concerned for the new players, considering you can only get so many modules a week, you can only get so many boosters a week. And the fact that it's a pretty high investment, that the original SSRs in the game, like we all used to run Crows and Samirs for the very longest time, aren't really going to cut it anymore when it comes to all the other progression in the game with needing, you know, 6 stars of a character, you don't actually need an A6 character of anyone. But what I mean is that you do need a decent amount of limiteds, and there's a lot of ramp up time, and it should take you a while to get gear and stuff. I'm not saying it shouldn't, but it's still very concerning. Secondly, the major issue that I really see is that the population of the game going into that is in a very weird state. Hopefully I'm flashing on screen some of the metrics, but Tower of Fantasy has really not been making a whole lot of money, and if they're hoping for PlayStation to make a lot more money, I don't know if that's really it. And especially considering 2.5 was extremely lackluster. They merged 2.6 and 2.5 effectively together, except for without giving us the plot line for 2.5 and 2.6. I don't know why they didn't do that. We effectively got a loot cave that had like 10 chests in it, and took literally about an hour to clear, but it is what it is. And then we got the new Titan gear and all that goodness, but then they kind of scrapped the way that you can farm Titan gear, and you can't get in research. And listen, that's for a whole nother topic, and we'll talk about that later. But the fact of the matter is that Tower of Fantasy has been making less money every single month on both the Chinese version and the global version, and this is a very not good sign. Now they're still making money, but I don't think they're making money at the scale that they need to be a very profitable company from a 3D open world gacha game. Now we're hoping the 3.0 will really save that, but if you've seen a lot of my streams, we were able to beat 3.0 in under a day. I did it in roughly about 5 hours. And I mean, some players, you might be able to play 15 minutes a day. It might take you a week or two. That's fine. But if you're hoping that's going to be the burst of content, there's no new raids, there's no new dungeons, there's no new gear progression, and it's just going to be a very interesting time for Tower of Fantasy. So what am I really saying here? I'm just very concerned that PlayStation wasn't the right move for Tower of Fantasy. I mean, if anything, if they were going to take the resources, they should have launched them both PlayStation and Xbox at the same time, and to at least try and get as many new players as possible to maybe bring in another revenue source. But then honestly, what they had to do is that what I think they really should have done is they should have done a new collab or exclusive with the console versions coming in, whether it's some PlayStation exclusive or Xbox exclusive or something like that, that really makes it enticing to bring all those players in. Or maybe it makes a lot of PC players or mobile players go play on console to get that collab. I don't know. But as of right now, it's just the same game where you log in from a different platform. And that's really my main concern, is that until they fix the new player experience, and yes, I know they've got new world level and all that goodness, and that is what it is. But until they figured the new player experience and how to retain the current population and grow the population, I think this is not it. This is not it. What they need to figure out how to do is make the gameplay loop a little bit more enjoyable and make the game a little bit more iconic. And it doesn't mean that you always have to power creep. There's a lot of games out there that do almost zero power creep, but have great story progression and great iconic characters that people fall in love with, and great other ways to progress your characters. And I think they really need to figure that piece out. But anyways, that's my 2 cents on it. Sorry you guys can't see my face again. I'll be back home soon, and let me know in the comments down below your general thoughts. Was I on par? Was I off par? Did I nail this? Did I not nail this? I do appreciate you guys. I do miss playing as much Tower of Fantasy as before, but for everyone that does support the channel and comes by the live streams, you guys are absolute chads and amazing, and love you guys to death. And thank you so much for always making this community great, because we just love playing different games, from Tower of Fantasy to other games. So make sure you come stop by the live streams. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe to support the channel for free. I'll see you guys on the next video. You can't see it, but fist bump from me to you.